So I thought I'd make a video on a little after action Dumont Dunes slash Maverick XRC Turbo RR review, kind of just a general overall where I'm at, what I'm learning, and all the things. It's my fourth trip to Dumont. Had a great time. Hooked up with another guy that has the same exact car with the same exact Tusk 32-inch sand lights. That was kind of funny. And he had a lot of experience in the dunes, and so I went on a ride and followed him. And man, I learned so much. Really pushed my boundaries, and that was a lot of fun. Went over the top of the backside and down the front side of Comp Hill, which was pretty exciting. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shaken after that, a little bit on that ride, but it was intense. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a ton. Really liked the machine. I think it's got great power for the dunes. You always want more, of course, but I learned a few things too. Learned about driving a little more, and the tires. I have to say I'm pretty happy with the Tusk sand lights, and he was too. Sure, the destroyers or the scats are lighter, and you're gonna get more power out of them probably because they are lighter, less rolling mass and all of that. But that being said, I mean, these were like $1,000 for the tires and wheels to my house. You're gonna pay more than that just for the tires. Almost twice as much just for the tires. So, I think for my use right now, these are fine. Down the road, I've got a lot of other upgrades I want to do. I want to gusset the front end of this thing. I want to shock tower brace, rear radius arms. I really want to get these shocks into shock therapy and get that whole thing done. I mean, that's just a lot of money, Another thing I think I might do if I do a lot of dune riding is probably change out these harnesses. I think they're great. I think they do a fantastic job for factory harnesses. I think they're really nice. But I just feel like in the dunes when you're riding hard, if there's a chance you could roll over, I'm sure they would lock in and all that. I just feel like some solid harnesses that don't have the give, or probably the 3-inch harnesses, are probably a better way to go. We wear helmets in Glamis Dumont Glamis. That works pretty good. I'd like to maybe upgrade helmets down the road. I did do the adrenaline, relocation here with the screen in back. Which, I noticed my filter seems like it gets dirty quicker now. So I'm not sure that's a great mod, to be honest with you. And I don't really notice that much difference in sound either. Maybe a little bit. I got the, this is the quick release pin kit I'm gonna put on there for, I like to blow my belt out and stuff, especially after every ride. And it's such a pain to keep pulling those, whatever it is, 12 nuts out every time. So I'm gonna get this pin relocator, the quick release kit. I think that's the way to go. He had it, the guy I followed had it on his. So a little bit more about that too. He had the same tires as me. I have the 10.5-inch rim, which really widens these out and keeps them at about a real true 32-inch tire. And he had, I don't know what size rims they were, but they were quite a bit narrower, and they were, I think they were Methods. I'm sure his was a lighter setup than mine. And his tires were noticeably narrower this way and a taller, like they were almost a 33, which was interesting. So he's a much better driver than I was, so I don't really know how that affected you overall, but it was interesting. So one big thing I learned was when I showed up out at the dunes, I didn't really mess with the air pressure, and they were down about 7-8 pounds. And I went out there and I started riding in the beginning, and I kind of felt like, man, it just feels like I don't know, I'm a little down on power, but they were sticking really well, you know. The front, I had about 7-8 pounds, and it felt a little like I had a lot of sidewall flex, you know, and I felt like I was down on power a little bit. So I ended up going on a ride with this guy, and he said, I asked him, what do you run your tires at? And he goes, I run them at 10 to 12 pounds. I went, really? Okay, interesting. And so then we had a discussion about it. And one of the things that he was saying was, more tire pressure you run, the better the unit will climb, but the slipperier it is too. So I guess that's because it's spinning more and you're getting more climbing ability. So went on the ride, had a great time, went back to camp, moved all my tire pressures to 10 pounds, then went back out and rode again. And holy crap, big difference. Just going from 7 to 8 pounds to 10 pounds was unbelievable. I felt like suddenly the car came alive, and I felt like I had more power. Like it seemed like there's way more in there, and the tires were spinning more. Yeah, the car was a little bit looser, but made a big difference. I ended up putting more in later, and I kind of went too far with it. You know, I went about 11 pounds, 12 pounds, and I definitely, she had tons of power. She just felt like she wanted to just roost. But it felt real loose. So I went back down to 10 pounds. I think that was kind of the sweet spot for me that day. I know the sand was real soft. Dumont was really, really lipped out, some big razors, and it was a tough riding. There must have been a lot of wind and things out there. So she was real loose. The sand was real dry. But really, really learned a ton about the tires, learned a ton about the grip, learned a ton about driving. Had a really great time. I picked up one of those kinetic ropes for my truck for pulling people out. I think those are super slick. But yeah, as far as the Dumont goes, I really love it. It's probably the most fun I've ever had riding these machines. It's just unbelievable power and lots of fun. I really enjoy the Tusk sand lights. I don't think you can go wrong with them, to be honest with you. Like I say, if you have the money, sure, spend the extra money, and if you're into dune riding, go get the better tires. But there wasn't anywhere I couldn't go, and it was no problem. Which brings me to a next discussion. I talked to him a lot about 2 versus 4-wheel drive. Now, I was mainly running 4-wheel drive, and on occasion on the lower stuff, putting it in 2 and kind of having some fun sliding around and stuff. And then I asked him, I said, hey man, what do you run, 2 4-wheel drive? He goes, I always run 2. I said, really? He goes, yeah, I never put it in 4. He said, unless I'm stuck. I said, really? So I ended up riding in 2 after that. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but I have to say I really, really enjoyed 2-wheel drive better. Yeah, straight out of the gate, if you're trying to drag race from right at the bottom of a hill to a top, I'm sure it pulls a little better in 4. But that 2-wheel drive is so nice. Once you get it going, they're about the same. You're able to turn so much better because you can turn the car and dab a little bit with the gas, and she comes right around for you and really makes the car more maneuverable. And it's just more fun, I think. So yeah, I learned that. That was pretty interesting and really enjoyable experience. So I got more to learn. I'm sure I'm not telling anybody else anything that they don't already know, but I sure am enjoying it, and hope to see you out there soon. Talk to you later.